And hello, everybody. Welcome with a nice new open. Thank you, Chris Cowley, for making that new open for Ask Us Anything.
Very nice.
He did a great job, didn't he?
Thank you.
We are Mike and Jennifer, and this is Sunday night, time for Ask Us Anything, being simulcast on our RV Lifestyle Facebook group. Are you a member of that yet? You should be. Get all your questions answered almost instantaneously. We have, I think, 46,000 active members on that group now, on our Facebook page and on our RV Lifestyle Facebook supporters group, those who choose to support us in kind of their own little private group that we have. Also, of course, being live streamed on the RV Lifestyle channel on YouTube. So thank you much. Over there on YouTube, we thank Chris Cowley, who did that great open that you just saw, and he's helping with questions and keeping everything moving there. And here for our Facebook users and our supporters and our Facebook page is our friend Phyllis Kerr, and she joins us as normal on camera to say happy Sunday night.
Yeah, it's a Sunday night, another weather storm coming through. It's all good.
Yeah, Phyllis is in Iowa, and we are in Michigan, and usually the weather you have ends up here the next day. So we're expecting another couple inches of snow, they say.
Yeah, well, you know, in Iowa, we don't really shut things down unless it's 25 below and there's ice on the road. So the kids are probably not going to get another snow day. But
yeah, that's good. Yeah. Well, we're getting people tuning in, and we should probably give them some ideas on how it all works. We try and make it easy. We end up with so many questions that we're working through over in the chat room part of it, that to help us with that, we need some help from you. So Phyllis, why don't you give them some ideas on what is the best way to get those questions through?
Great. So if you have a question for Mike and Jennifer, you should start your question with question in all caps. If you have a comment, start it with comment with all caps. And then you have to understand, especially if you were watching from Facebook, hello, welcome. If you're watching from the group, you need to give StreamYard, which is this system that we're using for live streaming, permission to use your name. And so there's a link in the description of this post. You should be able to click it and give us your name. Otherwise, you end up as Facebook user and it looks a little weird.
And we love to give you a shout out by name when we take your questions. We should also point out that we always get more questions than we can answer. Yes. And it doesn't do any good to say, why don't you answer my questions? And there's always a little confusion there because you may only see the questions from that one area you're in, but we're getting them really from all these areas that we're simulcasting to.
Right. They all come into the view that we have. So we might have 20 come in from YouTube and then 2 come in from Facebook, and they sort of get all mushed together. So it might be a long time before we get to your comment or your question, but please just be patient and we'll get to them. And if we miss them, we're really sorry, and we will try to get them in other places. But thank you so much for joining. I think everybody's kind of got the role of how it works.
Yep. And I put one of them up there now. Road Trip Buddy was our first one on there, but I don't see him on there anymore. And he always comes on first. I don't know what time he tunes in, 4 p.m. He always asks us what we ate for dinner. And so what we ate today was... I
had a chicken sandwich and a salad.
And I had my creamy broccoli soup. And if anybody wonders what we're talking about and why anybody cares, it's as E Square says there, we did our big... prepare ahead travel meals. We have a video that we released yesterday. A lot of you are trying those recipes. Have you tried one yet, Phyllis? Did you see them? They look pretty good.
No, but I watched them all, and now I know how to make them all. It's really very good. I like the fact that you had variations so that if someone was going keto, that's the way they could do it. If they weren't, there were other variations on that, and that's super handy. Literally, the first 20 comments are all about the recipes. So
really, we have.
Well, that'll be encouraging for me.
Yeah, that's very encouraging for Jennifer, because she had to do all the work on that, and we felt kind of funny because we're not cooking experts.
I mean, it was very obvious that we're not chefs at heart.
And we certainly gave credit to where we got the recipes. There's a big blog post at RV Lifestyle with the actual link to the recipes. But it was really fun doing that video, and people seem to like it. So next week, we're going to have a video that shows you where we ate those meals when we went up winter camping. So, well, Phyllis, I know we got a lot of them going, so we'll get you back there moderating all those questions and steering them our way. We thank Linda, and we thank Road Trip Buddy for getting the first questions out. Oh, I missed
Oh,
Linda's.
yeah, you don't.
There's
No,
Linda's.
yeah, keep.
And we'll let Jennifer start with that one.
Linda says she's definitely going to try the chicken dish from yesterday's video. It looked yummy. It is. I put a little too much chicken in it. I think I pretended you're supposed to use dark meat, and I substituted white meat. And I think if I would have put a little less chicken, there would have been more sauce with it. So
it has a good little kick to it.
Yeah, you like it. It's a little spicy. If you don't like spicy, don't put in those hot peppers.
There's Dan Mitchell with the question.
Oh, he made the chicken recipe today, and it's terrific. Doing the meatballs tomorrow.
Hey, are we having meatballs tomorrow?
I love the meatballs.
Gloria tried it too. Look.
Good. Well, then I wonder if she made it with dark meat or white meat.
Well, we said it, and she liked it. So
that's awesome.
And the name of that is Tuscan garlic chicken, and it was really fun. Thanks, Gloria. Thanks,
and that
everybody.
recipe was from our daughter-in-law,
Rusty Aiton.
Where in Florida would you winter longer term if you were to try to stay in one place?
Well, if we had to pick a place, I would probably like to stay as long as I could at a place on the beach. And those anything close to the beach is going to cost you a fortune. But if that's not the issue, my favorite place long-term in Florida would be Boyd's Campground in Key West.
I can't believe it. That's what I was thinking.
Really? Well,
yeah, that is really what I was thinking. If I could get in there, I would be there.
It's an interesting, it's a Key West campground. It's got this vibe that is, and you can see it. We have a video on Key West on the YouTube channel, on our RV Lifestyle YouTube channel. But many of the people there they come back year after year after year, and they stay in the season. The weather, of course, in Key West is always summertime, even right now, and it's great. So that's where I'd say. But it's hard to get in long term. There are a whole bunch of brand new resorts that are springing up for seasonal snowbirds in the central part of the state. Now, Florida is a peninsula, as you know. In the central part of the state, you got the Atlantic 40 minutes away, and you got the Gulf 35, 40 minutes away. So anywhere from really Ocala to Tampa, there are all sorts of new places. In fact, we're going to be checking one out in a few weeks, and we'll have a video on that actually. But start looking right now.
Yeah, it's really hard.
They book up year after year. Yeah, they're building these new resorts as fast as they can because so many people are coming to RVing, the RV lifestyle. But anyway, Boyd's Key West is where we would go, Rusty.
And then one question is, how warm do you want to be? Do you like the Naples perfect weather, or do you like it a little bit cooler?
Yep, really, for guaranteed warm weather all winter, you want to be south of really Sarasota. South to Sarasota, the closer you can get. Naples is usually perfect, and of course the Keys are always great for warm weather. I should also tell everybody why I'm doing it. We have 3 books on Florida that we have put out, 3 of our RV lifestyle travel guides. We spent much of last year and the year before putting these books together. One's on the Gulf Coast, one is on the Atlantic side and the historic coast, and the Cape Canaveral area, the Space Coast, and the other one is on the Keys. And if you just go to that address down on the screen, rvlifestyle.com/books, you can learn about them. But we have campgrounds and suggested routes and things to see, and we're really proud of that. And get all 3 of them. There's a really special price going on right now, the Florida bundle. So check it out. Anyway, Marshall has a question.
Hey, he has a comment. Great to be joining today. And he says he loves us. And thank you for saying that. We love you too. Planning on leaving on their year-long retirement trip in April.
Wow. From
That's
Connecticut.
great.
So you're
That
getting
is
out of the
great.
cold. It'll still be cold in Connecticut. And I hope you're going south first.
Oh, they will.
And then follow maybe the southern trip around. If you're going to be a year, you can kind of keep yourself in 70-degree weather all year round by using altitude as you get west and using the mountains to keep you in the 70s so you don't get too hot. Marshall, congratulations.
Yes.
So many people have been dreaming of their retirement, and it's great to see you ready to do it. So thanks for sharing that. He does have a question for us, though.
Okay, we only have firm plans for a 6-week caravan tour into Alaska in July and August. Have to drive through Canada. Any updates as to border openings and travel?
Well, the Prime Minister of Canada just announced this week that he was now extending it another month till March 21st. So the border remains closed. I have been saying all along, I don't expect that border to be open until close to summertime. I do think we'll see it open in the summer, but who knows? They're in no hurry to do it, and now it's remaining closed until March 31st. I wouldn't be surprised to see it shut down in April and maybe even into May, but I think by summer we'll travel again.
They would let you go straight through if you didn't stop and
They will let you go straight
sightsee.
through to Canada. They got burned because a lot of U.S.
To Alaska.
folks were, they will let you go through, but last summer they got burned by people who didn't respect their laws, which said, okay, if you're going to just travel from Seattle and then go up through Vancouver and straight on up in the Yukon Territory up into Alaska, you can, but you can't. You got to just spend the night and then get going. It's at least a 2-day trip through there. And no sightseeing and eating your RV and all that stuff. Well, they were people saying they're going to Alaska, and then they would just do whatever they want. And it was a mess. And so they actually were fined thousands of dollars, some of the U.S. people who violated that. But you can, if it's still closed, I think it'll be open by summer. But if it's still closed, you can go through. Just follow their regulations. When you go through, they say go straight to Alaska. Don't be dilly-dallying along the way. The Wandering Latinos are with us tonight.
Planning to make my first long trip in our pleasure way from Ocala to Pensacola. Would like to know what is best, full or empty tanks, meaning water, I think.
Yeah, certainly your gas is full. I would, if you're going from Ocala to Pensacola, that's a day's drive. So you don't need any more than a quarter of water, a quarter tank of water in there. We never travel with more than a half a tank if we know we're going someplace where we can get water. Now, if we're going to go boondocking, we'll fill it up just before we reach the boondocking spot, and then we can last on that water for a while. So I would go with, you get better gas mileage. It's less weight that you have to worry about, easier on your brakes when you stop, all that stuff. Water's very heavy. And our advice to you is keep your water tanks below half a tank, and you should be fine. Ocala to Pensacola is a day's drive.
And propane, I don't know if you have propane. It's easy to find, but it doesn't weigh that much.
No, propane doesn't weigh anything. We tend to top our propane off in the at the start of the summer, and we don't ever have to touch it until even mid fall. Propane lasts forever, it seems like. Gloria Maynard with a question.
We use CPAP machines and would like to boondock without running our loud generator. What portable power supply would you recommend?
Well, I don't know what your RV is, Gloria. If you have a couple of AGM batteries, if they're fully charged, they'll easily last you through the night. And then you can use your generator with all that noise in the daytime to charge them. If you've got lithium batteries and you're boondocking, you can run that CPAP machine for a couple 3 nights and not even have to think about your battery usage. And if you have solar, they'll charge up during the day. However, there are batteries that you can get. Whatever CPAP machine you have, check with the CPAP manufacturer and tell them you want a battery solution for it. And almost all of them sell batteries. And then you can just charge the batteries during the daytime, with your inverter, and then you run your CPAP machine from that.
Yeah, because it sounds like there's 2 of those machines.
You got to run 2 of them. That's 2 of them overnight. It's a pretty good drain.
Yeah, that is a good drain.
Ed Richards, our buddy Ed. Hi, Ed.
Yeah, greetings from frozen South Louisiana. Finally have power back after 5 days. Glad you have power.
What a crazy week it was weather-wise. But hopefully it's all warming up, and glad that you are doing that. Ed, we still got to connect on ham radio sometime. And I'm working on my ham radio story. It'll be a few weeks yet because we've got about 1 million videos that we have to edit, but I've started to shoot it. How's that? Michelle Korn.
Michelle loves the book on Arizona.
That's our brand new one, our newest one.
Hoping they can put it to use in about a month or so.
Oh, you're going at a great time. We were out there 1 year ago. Right now, we were in Arizona,
and it was perfect.
In the weather, yeah, it was perfect. It was in the mid 70s during the day. It cooled off nicely at night.
It was cold at night.
Yeah, we actually had to turn on the heater a couple of the nights at night, out in the desert boondocking. But it's if you're going in a month or so, you probably won't even have to run the heater at night, and the temperature will be pushing 80 at that time during the height of the day. But great weather. Danielle.
All right. Just to let you know that the broccoli and cheese soup is delicious. And we look forward to try your other recipes. You absolutely love that soup.
Yeah, I just had it for dinner tonight. And
I made it a second time.
We made our second batch.
The second batch. And I put in 1 cup less water.
We like it. I like it really thick.
I'm not eating it because it just looks so rich to me.
It's got all that cheese. It's great.
I usually gain weight when you go keto, so I'm kind of like,
I'm losing weight. So
I know you're losing weight, but I tend to eat my normal way, and then you're keto. So, okay.
The Latinos.
My pleasure way with the Ford chassis indicate 55 psi in the front and 80 psi in the rear, but I feel my front end very unstable. What could be the problem? Any suggestions?
I am not a mechanic. That sounds, normally the two are a little closer together. So if you have the Ford chassis, I think it's the cutaway chassis. If you have dual wheels, it's probably the same chassis we have. I don't know what mine are. My tire pressures are. I think they're usually a little closer together. If it feels unstable, that's usually a sign it's too high. The pressure's too high. So I would take it to a Ford dealer, whoever does your service, and tell them that. See what they say. Gus Pullen Jr.
Okay. Thank you for enjoying our show. We have a wonder on order. Can you only get one bike into the garage?
Well, you could get a couple of bikes if you don't mind taking them more apart than I do. I take the front wheels off. I can get 2 regular bicycles in.
I think that's the key, regular bikes.
Yeah. E-bikes, we have Rad Power e-bikes, and they're pretty big. They each weigh about 65 pounds. I can, if I kind of break it down, pulled off the seat and take off the front wheel, I can get one of them in there. I probably could get 2 in if I really worked at it. But the easier way to do it for us is we put one in there, and then we put a hitch on the back, and we can take one bike on the hitch. The Wonder model we have, the hitch can only hold 200 pounds. So that's one e-bike and the hitch, and that's it. Other Wonder models and other leisure travel vans can hold much more. The reason they can't for us is because we've got all that garage space with the rear model that we hear, the rear twin bed model. And we love that garage. So we put one of the e-bikes in there and one on a hitch. We can get 2 regular bikes in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
James Harris.
Can you mirror your cell phones to the TV in your rig?
Yes. Ours are smart TVs. We don't watch TV, honest to goodness. For a guy who does a lot of video work, you'd think we watch more, but there's really not very much on. Now we're watching a silly little series on Netflix called Anne with an E. It's the old Anne of Green Gables, which is set in the maritime provinces of Canada some time back, and we're enjoying that. It's kind of a fun, it's actually a kid's story that they've made a pretty good series on. But we really don't watch much TV. And particularly we don't watch it when we go RVing. If we occasionally want to watch a movie or something, we will stream it, usually on our laptop, but we can do it on our television. But they are smart TVs in ours. Now, every RV is different. Most everything sold over the last couple of years has smart TVs in them. So you can stream them however you want. You can use whatever the streaming services you want. You can use those little cards, those little sticks, the Fire Sticks, and all that stuff as well. Dr. Gary Daniel.
We received our Unity FX in December. We have a technical question. How long did it take you to stop bumping your heads on the bulkheads?
You mean the part that goes from the cab to the motorhome and vice versa? I never stopped bumping my head.
You're bumping your head in the Wonder.
Yeah, I do. I tend to bump my head on all of our RVs whenever I get out of the cab into the back. Maybe I've hit it too many times. Yeah, it is an issue. You got to get used to it. And the other thing on our Wonder, I got to watch the air conditioner because it's 6'5", the floor ceiling, but in the bedroom area, which is raised a little bit to accommodate that big garage underneath that we want. It's not quite. It's not even 6 feet. So you kind of, where the air conditioner comes down, you got to duck your head a little bit. And I've hit my head on that a couple times. But mostly I bump my head getting in and out of the cab. Just me. Do you bump you don't bump your head, do you?
No, but I'm really pleased because in the Wonder rear twin bed, we've got 2 steps to go down, and I missed those steps once. You missed them once, and luckily we haven't missed them twice. We learned from the first time.
Well, they have a light on. They have a light on. Yeah.
You know, you get thinking about
you got to get used
else.
to every RV you have. So we had the same model that you have. We had the Unity FX. We had that for a little over a year and really enjoyed that. Heidi in Canada.
Okay, they're researching to buy a new van, and their question is, do you ever see anyone selling their arts and crafts from their van on their travels? And thank you for liking our site and videos. Thank you. Thank you.
We do. That's the way a lot of people are, crafty people, artisans, and what they do, they get their RV in their little van, and so they get on the schedule. Last year was a terrible year for that, but they go from art show to art show to art show, and they live in their van. They can usually camp for free right wherever that is, and they have their stuff there. So there are a lot of people who do that. It's always a little risky trying to sell stuff from an RV campground. So you don't want to just put up a sign, say for sale, or bring stuff out at a campground unless you have their permission. There are all sorts of legal loopholes that the campgrounds have to go through, and taxing things from the government jurisdictions that they're in. So you can understand why campgrounds would be a little leery of that. But a lot of people sell artwork, and they do it by going from show to show and living in their vans and having a great time. Here's another question. This is from somebody named BB.
Okay, are you able to get refrigerator and freezer sufficiently cold before leaving on a trip for Florida condo? Thanks.
Yeah, we turn it on the night before we leave, and it stays cold. In fact, I'm having trouble getting it. It's almost too cold, so I'm freezing the vegetables. I gotta get the right adjustment on the refrigerator part, because we freeze some of those vegetables, but it gets cold really good. But the secret, we always do this before we leave on any trip, is we turn the refrigerator and the freezer on the night before we're to leave, before we pack it, and that's nice and cold for everything. Chris,
how did you keep warm while winter camping? Propane or electric space heater?
Well, we have both, and in the trip we just came back from, we thought we would need both, but we really don't. We use the propane at night. We turn the heat down just like we do at home to about, in the RV, we turn it down to about 56 degrees because we're so cozy and warm in those beds that we sleep in. And by the way, we have a big video coming for you. Many of you guys suggested we try Beddy's, Beddys. We got them, and we tried it along with the RV Super Bag, and along with a great company that makes custom sheets and pillows for the mattress that we have in our leisure travel van Wonder. So we have 3 of those bedding solutions, high-end bedding solutions. We just finished shooting a video this weekend on that. That'll be coming in a 3 weeks. But anyway, we stay very warm in that. We turn the propane down to about 56.
And we don't run the electric space heater when we're sleeping. You probably could, but we just don't. Usually,
don't need it.
And the Wonder, we only run it when we're sitting up front. And if the propane is, comes vents, out low, right where Bo is. And this is ridiculous. So for the dog, we turn the propane, or we turn the electric heater on up high, so he doesn't roast.
It's probably perfectly safe. I just don't like leaving an electric heater on when I'm sleeping. I want to watch it. If we do use it, well, maybe we'll turn the propane way down low, and then let the electric heater warm it up. But we're very impressed with how well insulated this RV is, and it keeps us very warm. Gary Bauer with a question.
Do you use your all-wheel drive that often?
I think it kicks in automatically, and we've been doing a lot of driving in snow and icy roads, and this thing handles like a dream, honest to goodness. And I credit that all-wheel drive a lot. I'm really glad we have it. That's one of the big reasons why we traded, because we do like winter camping a lot. And we like to camp in snow. And so having that all-wheel drive, it really handles well.
And where we live, it's hilly.
Yeah, it's hilly here in this part of Michigan where we are.
The area that we are.
Yeah. So, but you know, it isn't one you actually have to turn on. It just
and
kinda,
isn't that great that we don't have to turn it on?
It
That
just
it
kind of works all by itself. So
just turns itself on.
Jim Brenner.
Retirement scares me beyond words. I am a workaholic. How do you transition to retirement and RV life? This
Jim,
is a workaholic, and he's working
Jim,
harder now.
Hang on one second. Let me bring Phyllis on for this. So Phyllis, we get these questions that people think I'm retired, and I can answer. Jennifer can answer, but since Phyllis is kind of like our business manager, and we have to come up with a really cool title for you, something that nobody else uses. But anyway, am I retired?
No.
Yeah.
Not even semi-retired. No.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Get back to work. I'm sorry. Right. I needed to have a verification. How much do we work a week? I just mentioned we shot this Betty's video and we were exhausted. Betty, it was the 3 beddings, Betty's, RV super bag, and the linen thing.
The sheets, the regular sheets.
That was a lot.
Forever.
It was,
and we did one day. We shot it, and then
we didn't like it. We
satisfied.
didn't like it.
I think I was grumpy, and I was, kind of grumping around.
Sometimes it's hard to work with this temperamental star, but not saying it. But Jim, I do know what you're talking about, and I did originally retire when we first started this in 2012. That's it. I'd had it with the media. You know what the media is like. And so we got this. We were going to go see the world. I was going to just start a little blog for friends and family. And, it was just at the right time. The industry was coming out of that last recession and the blog took off. And, oh, my gosh, we started the videos. We started the podcast. We got sponsors. It has now become truly a business. There's 8. I added them out. There's 8 people besides Jen and me and Bo who actually work on the RV lifestyle platform now with all of our different shows and our books. And we got lots of exciting news coming up about our books later on, answering lots of requests we've had about certain things. We'll tell you about that coming up.
Okay. So you have not retired.
Yeah. So I have not retired. This has gotten to be busier and busier. And I bet it's 55, 60 hours a week, but I'm doing what I love. And, I would find something else to throw myself into. My ham radio hobby, I love that. I would do more with that. I love to read. I still manage to read. I read. I try to read an hour or so every day.
Your mom, she read a book a day.
Yeah. Well, I read probably 2 books a week.
Yeah.
Close to a book, at least a book a week, sometimes 2. So don't worry about it, Jim. Everybody who retires says the same thing, that they didn't realize how busy retirement is. So find what it is your passion, what you like. Some people start a second career, start a business. We never thought we'd have a business. We never thought there'd be 129,000 people who subscribe to our YouTube videos, or 400,000 people who like our Facebook page, or 50,000 in our group. Or we never thought that happened, but it's our passion.
And you have hobbies, you have interests, you have something. Enjoy the retirement, and then if you think you need something, find it, pursue it. Because
you will be busy
to not do anything.
No, we're not. And these people who just say, "Oh, I'm just going to sit in a chair all day," that's not us. Now, maybe that's what some people like to do.
Actually, I've got a friend right now. Her husband's sitting in that chair, and he's developing health problems.
Yeah,
we're
meant to be active.
Whatever your interests are, whatever your hobbies are, whatever you've dreamed of doing, service to help people, to however you want to serve, give back.
Yeah.
We all need to be valuable.
Yeah.
But yet have the freedom to come and go.
You can do it, Jim. And just go for it and throw yourself into it and have a ball. John Waldron.
All right. A compliment. My wife, Linda, made your broccoli cheese soup so good. Thanks, Jennifer and Mike. Nice cheese grating. That soup.
Hey, what about my onion cutting on the other end?
That soup really is good, because our daughter-in-law told us about that too.
It is really good. We made the second batch. We ate the first batch when we were up camping, winter camping. And then we made a second cat batch the other day, and I've had it twice
so
now. I had it
easy
for
to
dinner
make.
tonight.
I
Yeah,
just couldn't believe how easy.
it's really good.
I love the meatballs.
Philip Stevenson.
I would like to know, do you have the RV inspected as an RV and a car? Do you have it inspected?
I don't know what.
I would like to know. Do
I
you
guess
have the
if
car?
our RVs, we buy our RVs new, but if I was buying a used one, I would certainly
Yes.
go to an inspector. There's the RV Inspectors Association, RVIA, and they are all over the country, and you hire them to come and do an inspection if you're going to buy a used one. So I would do that. For buying a new one, no, I've never had it inspected. I always look it over when we take possession of it, make sure everything is the way it should be. But definitely I'd have an RV inspected if I was buying a used one.
And just like a house, you have
Just like a
somebody come
house.
in and
Yep.
inspect it.
Cheryl Datillo.
Any tips on keeping both safe in your travels? Looking forward to bringing our 7-pound dog with us. Oh, a 7-pound dog versus 70-pound dog would be so much easier.
Yeah, set the rules real quick of where the dog sleeps. Well, maybe the 7-pounder can sleep with you, but a 70-pounder. Look at we have video on our couple of videos back, and you can see the bow problem we had with beds. Keeping the dog safe,
A soft crate. If your dog is used to being crated,
you don't want
bolt
them
it
bouncing around in the middle of the RV. So you need to somehow secure them.
You can probably sit on your lap for a while, if comfortable with that.
There are harnesses that work with your seatbelt.
Yeah.
And we've bought those. We have those. Be aware of the biggest problem you have with the dog that we have found is ticks.
Oh,
Ticks.
yeah.
They're all over the country now. And so you really want to inspect your dog every time he goes out to play and you're out in the camping somewhere, and make sure he doesn't have any ticks on it. Besides that, you don't want him to bring the ticks in. And if he gets in your bed, you don't want him to leave any ticks in your bed. So always check for ticks.
Oh, now I'm nervous about Bo. Bo sleeps, and he likes my bed better than your bed.
That's your problem, girl. No. And then, wildlife. Be really careful about wildlife. We have a story we put on the blog a couple of days ago, and I probably should have held it until it gets warm out, but it's how fast the inside of an RV heats up when it's parked in the sun. So make sure your dog is not left unattended in your RV when you're camping. And common sense, always on a leash. And,
the monitor for the inside temperature of your rig.
Yep, there's lots of stuff. We've got a million stories. We even have a free ebook that we have made available on tips for traveling in an RV with your dog. So, but a little 7-pounder, you can put him in your pocket and you're good to go.
A lot of people we saw at that first RV show in Tampa in their purse, or they have a little sling around their neck that they carry their puppy.
You see us doing that with Bo?
Oh.
I don't think so. James Massey.
Upgrading to Battleborn lithium batteries and 40 watts.
400 watts of solar.
Watts tomorrow. Any advice, cautions on how to use this setup?
Don't know who's installing it for you, but before you leave, after they install it, because it'll take them all day, make sure that everything works. Try it on just the batteries. Make sure that your engine alternator, I'm assuming that it's in motorhome you have, is charging your batteries when the engine is running. Make sure that the solar is putting wattage into your batteries. Take your time, make sure all the different areas work. Make sure if you have an onboard generator, when that's on, that it is indeed charging your batteries. The first time we had ours installed, we had a guy, it was the end of the day, and they really wanted to get home, and they kind of rushed us through it. And we got all the way home from Elkhart up to Michigan, and we found out several things hadn't worked. And we ended up calling a mobile repair service, and they came and they found the guy had wired some of the stuff backwards. So just make sure that everything works, that the engine charges it, that the generator charges it, that the solar is charging it, that it works between all three of those, and you're good to go. They're great batteries. We insist on them in all of our RVs now. Tracy Parisi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Tracy?
Oh, well, here's a good question, a good answer to a problem. The smaller size express pots use regular wattage. Can you use them as you do the crock pots?
I suppose so. I don't know how much they would hold. I don't know those express pots. Do you know anything about them?
No, I just figured it was a smaller crock pot, but
Yeah.
it's
But if they work, that's great. Yeah, go for. I'm sure you can. You just probably couldn't put as much in as we do in our crock pot. So that's good. Katie Trent.
and they greetings, and we'll be getting our new Unity FX in June. Have you tried Unique RV Digest, and how does that compare to Happy Campers Organic RV Holding Tank?
I have no idea, but am a happy camper with happy campers, and that's all I use, and I'm not going to change. Why would I want to change? It's so good. I don't know. I've never heard of it. And there are a million of these chemical solutions out there. So try whatever works for you. But people always ask us, well, which one do you like? And this is the one that we've been using for a few years
We
now.
should probably write down this name in case for some reason we wouldn't be
Well,
happy with the Happy Campers.
no, you can't. You remember that. I'm happy with happy campers. Philip.
Okay, what is your longest trip in your Class B?
Months, probably. Well, see, when we first started, we did some really long ones, but a Class B's, now that we've got slightly larger RVs, Class B is pretty small. So we would stay in hotels when we first started about every third or fourth night.
But some people live full time in a Class B and they are as happy as can be.
Not these, some people, not me and you. No, you
With
made
a
it real clear to me.
70-pound dog.
Do you remember what you said to me?
Yeah, I said you'd be traveling with Bo if you sold our house and wanted me to live full time in a Class B.
Yeah, it's just a little too small for us. I mean, and we, we're on the road half, 3/4 of the time. Usually 3/4. Last year, half maybe.
I spent my life carrying things from the front to the back and then the back to the front.
At night, where do you store stuff? And so that's when we moved up to the Class C's.
Big dog, lots of food, big bed.
I don't think we'll ever go any bigger than the C, but who knows? I'm never going to say ever. I didn't think I'd ever get out of a B. I thought it would stay with B's forever, but we're pretty happy with what we have right now. Wendy Miller.
Do you use or have you used snap pads or the similar?
Yes, we do. Snap pads, if you're all wondering, it has to do with a 4-point leveling system, the automatic jacks that come down and level your RV. We never had that until we got the Unity FX a couple of years ago. And we loved that leveling system. And so the very first thing we did when we got our new Wonder back in June was we drove to Elkhart and we had the people at Equalizer install the same equalizer system that we had on our Unity on our Wonder. And snap pads are just a thick polycarbonate little pad that the jack fits into real securely, and it just sort of spreads it out. If there's mud, it doesn't get all gunked up on the jack. So we did put them on the Wonder. The front Wonder jacks on ours have only about 5.5 inches of clearance, and when you put the snap pads on, we had one of them on a really, really rough road when we were boondocking get knocked off. So I took them both off the front. The back have closer to 6 inches of clearance, and we have the snap pads there. But we liked snap pads. We were big believers in them. I think they just make things neater. And if you're parking on asphalt in hot weather, they spread the weight out a little bit and don't quite indent the asphalt so much. Lucky Stamper.
Hi, can you tell us which is better, the Alcoa aluminum rims or the standard rims with the LTV?
Again, I'm not a mechanic. We have the aluminum and like them. I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know.
going to
I think I do.
Our site, ask people who've had both.
Yeah, go to our RV Lifestyle Facebook group and ask that, because there are car geeks on there who can tell you, well, you ought to have because it has this tolerance, and I don't know all that stuff.
And if you like them perfectly clean and shiny, and they'll help you figure out how to do it.
So yeah, I would go to RV Lifestyle, the Facebook group. Just go to rvlifestyle.com/Facebook, and you can join the group there. And we do ask you to answer a few questions so we can keep the spammers and the people who are social misfits off. You know what it's like online with crazy people. So we always try and do a little screening, but you can get a lot of great feedback from our people who know a lot more about it than we do. James Harris.
It's a greetings from Manhattan Beach, California. Thank you for helping us decide on what RV to get with your videos. Your channel is our favorite RV channel. Thank you.
Wow.
And keep up the good work.
James,
thank you for encouraging us.
Thank you. That is so kind of you to say that. We really
So I wonder what they got.
I don't know. Norm Tan.
Hi, guys. So you're still in the north. Here in Ontario, it's still in the deep freeze. And yes, the border is still closed and getting tighter.
I'm not going to make any political comments. You're right. It is tighter.
Do you use your, Karen?
Hi, Karen. Karen Hicks.
Do you use your propane to run your refrigerator at night and use solar during the day when you boondock?
No, actually, I run these. Yes, I do. If we're boondocking, I run the solar on propane. Just sips it. Doesn't take much at all. And solar is, of course, tapping off the battery usage during the day. So when we're boondocking, I pretty much run the refrigerator totally on propane.
Sun? Propane?
Propane.
Okay.
Propane.
Okay.
The gas, LP gas. That's what we run the refrigerator when we're boondocking. And solar doesn't run the refrigerator. Solar just tops off the batteries. I could switch and use the batteries with it, but it sips so much. I mean, I can go weeks with propane about boondocking. So that's what I do. And when we're driving, it'll charge automatically with the 12 volts. And when you're plugged into shore power, it'll switch over and it'll automatically use that as the power source. Or you can switch manually to whichever one you want. Chris Duxbury.
How do you go from a cold climate south with water and heat? We're heading to Florida in March from Cleveland.
Well, we will be doing the same thing, okay, from Detroit area, northern Detroit suburbs. So, and we do this, we just did it a month ago, and we're going to be doing it again in about 2 weeks. But what I will do is I will, I'm all winterized. So the RV is totally winterized. There's antifreeze in the plumbing system. I will make it normally south of Louisville is where you'll start to find parks, RV campgrounds that are still open and that have city water hookups. So I will make sure that it's not going to get deep freeze in the weather forecast, but usually that first night I'll spend somewhere south of Louisville from Detroit, and I will then that morning I will drain the water out of the water system, all the antifreeze out. I'll follow the de-winterizing process, top off the fresh water, put water in the hot water heater, and then I'm good to go. We can then flush and run running water. Now, if you're coming back and still going to be in really cold weather in a few weeks, you may not want to de-winterize. Or like us, it's so simple to winterize now. It takes longer to read the instructions sometimes than to do it. I don't mind. I'll re-winterize if we were coming back in late March or so and it was going to be still pretty cold up north. I would winterize again. But this time we're anticipating we won't be back until it's nice and warm again. Marshall with another question.
I notice you drive shorter Class C. I know you love your garage in your current rig. Have you ever thought of to tow a 4x6 enclosed trailer behind your rig for your toys?
No, doesn't appeal to me at all, Marshall. I just don't want to tow anything. I have enough trouble putting a bike on the rack. I don't want to tow anything.
Well, and I don't know what Marshall tows.
Yeah. So even in our FX or Unity FX, I don't need that many more toys. They all fit. Even on that one, they all fit pretty good. So at least everything we like to bring. And everybody's different. You might have more toys. So,
right.
KSS.
Good evening to you as well. Looking for all season 4x4 Class B. Which would you recommend?
I don't know of any true Class B 4x4. You could check with the folks at Storyteller Overland. Mm-hmm. They make a really neat rugged. I don't know if they're true 4-season. They do have 4x4s. I know 4x4 Class Bs on the Sprinters, on the Sprinter chassis are extremely hard to come by. All the chassis for Class Bs are hard to come by. So, you're probably going to have to hunt around a little bit. But Storyteller Overland, they make them in Huntsville, Alabama. But they're a nice looking rig. We're hoping to do a tour of their factory in a couple of weeks. So we'll let you know what that's like. We'll show you. Craig P.
Answer to a question we used to tie a red rag on the place where you would bump your head and then hit that soft rag hanging down. Made us see it before we bumped it. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I think I've hit it too many times, Craig, because I keep hitting it all the time.
I know a lot of times the support beams for your awning, people will cut a noodle, like the pool
swimming
noodles, and put that on there so that they don't run into them, so that they see them. So that's something for the awning.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one, Craig, that has had that problem. So, Catherine Glavy
wants to know if they're safe to directly connect our Class C to our home exterior outlet, or should we be using an EMS at home also?
Electronic management system. Well, your home exterior outlet is only 20 amps, right? So your Class C takes 30 amps. So you're not going to be able to use a lot with that. It will trickle charge your batteries, so it's okay. I would just say use a very heavy gauge extension wire, but you can use it. That'll let you operate the fridge, certainly not the air conditioning. It will probably run your furnace blower fine. But it's just remember it's only 20 amps, and really you have a 30 amp supply. So if you're going to do anything that uses more power, you need that 30 amp supply. We bit the bullet years ago and installed a 30 amp outside with a little receptacle in our driveway. And when mine's parked, I leave it on all the time. So it's great. But the 20 amp, you can do that. So just get a good extension cord. D.
If going somewhere after parking the RV, should I rent a car or use Uber?
Or get your e-bikes. I don't know what kind of an RV you have. It's a big one. You certainly got to leave it there. Some people rent a car. That can be kind of a hassle. I think Enterprise will deliver the car. We have used Ubers. Ubers are great. What I like about an Uber is they don't really cost that much if you're in a city. And then if you're going in like to a restaurant, they'll drop you right in front of the restaurant. And then you just pick up the phone. They'll pick you up. You don't have to worry about, where am I parking? Where am I going? It's so easy. So we have done that. When we go to Nashville, we sign up for a lot of the tours, and many of them run shuttle buses. So, that all those are good solutions.
The one thing I would like, and I think about this with trying to go out at night, go someplace fun, a nice restaurant, wherever. I wish that some campground would come up with a place to watch your pets.
I do too.
Kennels and.
I get people send us note from campgrounds all the time saying, what would you suggest? And I always say that. I always say, have dog sitters and a really nice kennel, for the dogs where they can be outside and where you give, they're safe. So people can go and explore the area. And, some people, well, we've got like a doggy canine area, like the KOA parks all have one. And that's great. We love to have that where you can let the dog run loose. They're very small. If you got a 2-pound dog, it's good. But if you got a 70-pound dog, 2 strides, he's across the, fence to fence. Have bigger areas. I think our last survey showed something like 63% of all RVers travel with a pet, a dog primarily. And that's one of the reasons they got an RV. So you'd think these campgrounds would realize, hey, let's make these really nice.
Now, Pictured Rocks, they used to. There's a boat tour that you can take there, and they had crates, and you could leave your pet in a crate.
We saw that.
I don't know if they still do, but they did a few years ago.
That's up
at Mammoth Cave.
At Mammoth Cave National Park, at the campground there, or they have areas at Cape Canaveral last year. We found, and it was free, a free air-conditioned kennels for your dogs. So there are places like that, but you'd think that it would be more, commonplace. But Dee, to your question, rent a car, Uber, that's great.
Both.
We've done both. Susan.
I hope you're planning to do audio format with your books.
I didn't think of that. We have another couple of ideas. So, but I'm not going to go into any else. But I didn't think of doing that.
I've never thought of that.
Yeah. But hey, we're open to any ideas. Thank you, Susan.
That's a good
good
idea.
idea. We haven't thought of it, but who
Never
knows?
thought of that before.
Cami Harris.
Do you feel the Alaska Marine Highway worth it? Does it save time?
With the pet? Well, the only way we've taken the Alaska Marine Highway is on a cruise ship. We did the inland passage. Do you want to save time in Alaska? I mean, you go to Alaska. I would not want to go anywhere except I'd want to take the Trans-Alaska Highway. I just think that's just so great. There's all these awesome places. I've not done the Marine Highway. I'm sure I'd like to, maybe do one going one way and then come back. And with the pet, it's always a challenge. Wildlife challenges, the pet's got to be on a leash. There is a cost to traveling with the pet. We think, obviously, we pet owners think it's worth it because we love our pets. But you do have to consider that. I don't know if it would save you any time, and I don't know if I was going to Alaska that I'd want to save time. I'd be there to experience all of it.
Well, some people, you don't have the option of a lot of time.
Yeah, I think
You
the
wanna do it?
Trans-Alaskan Highway, whatever they call it.
I liked your idea of the highway, and then
Yeah, maybe do both. Go one way and
if
come
you
back
could,
the other.
if you could swing that.
Donna,
What generator would you recommend for an RV?
get one built in. If I don't know what kind of an RV, if it's a motorhome, almost all of them have the option to, when you order, if you're talking about a new one, and most of the used ones on there will have a generator as an option. And if it's already installed and pre-wired, it's pretty bulletproof. The only thing you have to do with the generator is exercise it, which means you run it for a good hunk of time for an hour or so every month, to keep it from getting clogged up. But so I'd get one built in Onan, ONAN. That is the main brand of generators. Cummins Onan, ONAN. I have a story on RVlifestyle.com about different smaller generators that you can buy and carry along. And I don't really have any recommendations for those because I don't want to carry one. I want one that's built in. At least that's the way we travel. Ray Maiden.
Any new electronic gadgets catch your eye recently?
Ray, it's my life. Yeah. Just some of my ham radio gear. I've been doing an installation on the RV. We finally have my system set up pretty good. There's a couple of really cool gadgets there. You'll see those whenever I do finish this ham radio video. So right now, that's the gadgets that I have been using the most. And we'll show you how it all works. Kay Scroggins.
Do you leave your inverter on all the time?
Good question. No, inverter is the biggest power drain there is. So if we're boondocking during the day, I will turn the inverter off because it sucks a lot of power out of the batteries. So what do you do for your charging of your batteries and your laptops and all that stuff? Well, I have a thing called a Mophie power station. It's a little battery that'll charge our laptops. I charge our laptops off of 12 volts. I use the USB ports for our phones to charge them. What really do you need to run that inverter? What AC do you need to run? The AC the AC is the only thing I know that has to have the inverter on. But we don't run that for long periods of time. We try and keep our camping at 70, 75 degrees by going up and down in hills and mountains. But turn the inverter off if you're not using it.
We didn't know that in the beginning.
We didn't. We kept it on all the time. And it is probably the biggest power drain you have, the inverter. It sucks a lot of power. And to have it on just so you can charge your phones is crazy. So I charge many of our cameras with USB, and I've got USB Class C connectors for my laptop and for our iPhone, and we use those to do most of our electronic charging. We're getting down to just a few more questions now. Boy, the time goes so fast on this show. George Gafford Sr.
Okay, I asked that question as a lot of full-time RVing are doing ham radio in their RVs and is very much fun. over the fun over the road and in states and in national parks. There is also an awards program for doing parks on the air. You're familiar with that?
Yeah. George must not watch our videos because I just did one 2 weeks ago of me doing parks on the air.
Mike loves parks on the air.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about ham radio. I did that up in the snow as the snow was coming down. And I think we worked 12 states in 20 minutes just playing around with that. And low power, just a little 10 watts. That was fun. Yeah, there's a million different uses for ham radio. And I don't want to geek people out by talking about it. That's just been a hobby I've had since I was a little kid. It's a lot of fun. And we'll be doing a big video, and then I can just refer everybody to the video. I'll show you my home station, my shack, as we call it, what I use in the RV, what we use mobile, running around, some of our different ham radio, walkie-talkies, and all of this stuff, and it's all fun. Eileen Brown.
Hey, do you foresee the need for more airtight reservations in 2021 versus winging it? Thinking about lots of new RVers and penned up demand.
Oh my gosh, Eileen, that's probably the best question of the night. And you're absolutely right. We are extremely positive. We try to be as positive as we can, but we also are realists. And the days of serendipity, we'll find a place to stay in a campground, are pretty much over. The campgrounds, one of my friends who is another YouTube influencer and blogger about the RV life, he had a post the other day noting that America's sold out. All the parks are sold out for the year, the campgrounds. Well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but in general, it is going to be extremely hard to get reservations on any kind of short notice. So if you know when you're going to go, try and get some reservations now. We were up at a fantastic park up on the Lake Michigan shoreline last week, and it was great. We camped in the winter. Some of our friends were there, and they said, yep, we're camping way into the summer. And they called, and they got the very last opening for the last spot. And they have 300 spots in that campground. So it's like that all across the country because so many new people have come into RVing. So you've got to get your reservations. And let's hope more campgrounds get built. More people are finding things like Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome. And you can find those on our partners page on our RVlifestyle.com travel blog. But Eileen, you do have to get reservations. Last question, please, though, give us a thumbs up if you can on this video. We always forget to ask for that until the very end, but it helps get us the attention from YouTube. And I didn't talk about being a supporting member. And I'll just urge you to go to that address there. We have a Facebook supporters private group for those who chose to put a little bit of money every month to just show their support of all of our different platforms. In turn, Facebook supporters and YouTube members. On YouTube, there's a little thing called Join. You can learn about it there. If you go to rvlifestyle.com members, it'll tell you about both. But for the YouTube members and the supporters, we will have a special gathering this summer, just for the supporters and members. We'll have a get together and a camp out. We'll trying to set the details as soon as we see the COVID situation. And we should talk about the podcast.
Well, we probably should talk about the podcast. I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for all the compliments on the recipes.
On our video? Yep. That's our podcast. Now, if you have a question that you'd like us to talk about on our podcast, which comes out every Wednesday, use that phone number right there, and you can just leave a message, and we love to get your questions, and we will answer them if you put them online there. And the recipes, that was fun. We're going to do more?
Yeah. I'll call up my daughter-in-law.
She gave you more. So there you go.
The chicken wings comes to mind right away.
Oh, yeah. We got a good chicken. It's so easy. That's not even a recipe.
That's not even a recipe.
Yeah. All right, Phyllis, how do we all do tonight? We had a lot of people on and good questions.
Yeah, good questions. And I have to say, I did skip over the about 20 comments about Jennifer's new haircut, but I just wanted to acknowledge that.
So. She just had it done yesterday.
Yeah, I needed it.
People like complimenting you. And so you should go back and read them all. They're very, very nice.
Well, that's so nice. I was, a sheep that needed to be sheared. That's all I gotta say. We were gone, and then my person was out of town, and it was like, oh man.
Like we're doing that video I talked about at the beginning about all the different bedding ideas for an RV, and we we shot, and we were so tired. I said, well, let's do this last one tomorrow. And she said, I can't. I'm going to have a new hairstyle tomorrow, and I'll look completely different in the video. So
that's what we were going to be extras in a movie once, and they wanted me in it. And I said, no, I'm getting my hair done the weekend, and I will not, I don't know what I'm going to look like, but I will not look the same.
I did want to mention one thing, that we are looking for really interesting RV lifestyle stories to feature with interviews on the podcast. So, if you know somebody who's doing something really cool and interesting, Mike wants to interview you. So,
and that's it. You guys out there watching this, you have all these great stories. Tell us about yourself, or if you're too modest, have your spouse or your traveling companion tell us about you, or somebody that would make a good interview, help us get in touch with them. We want to tell the stories about people enjoying this. How's the best way that they can get a hold of us?
I knew you were going to say that. So you right now you can just email maybe team@rvlifestyle.com, and I will send you the link to get interviewed on the podcast.
Okay, team@rvlifestyle.com. Mm-hmm. Phyllis Kerr, thank you so much for being with us tonight and helping all those questions get put to the front. And we so appreciate you there. Stay warm and safe and dry, and not too cold in Iowa. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And over on YouTube, he's not on camera, but he's been working hard tonight. Chris Cowley with our YouTube folks. Chris, thank you for all of your work. But mostly to all of you, the hundreds and hundreds of you who tuned into this every Sunday night, all the thanks for the recipes. That was so much fun to do that video. We felt very out of the water, like fish out of the water doing that, but it was fun. So thank you for holding our hands and being nice to us about it.
Yeah, my favorite's the meatballs.
Meatballs, yeah, that's good. That's what we're eating tomorrow. So, all right, we are Mike and Jennifer Wendland. Don't forget, if you have not yet become a regular on our YouTube channel, we would appreciate it if you would just go to YouTube and sign up as a subscriber, and that will help us. The more subscribers we get, the better our videos get shown around. To all of you, thank you so much. And sorry if we didn't get to your questions this week. We'll do our best to go through them and answer some of them in the chat later on. Till next week, so long.
Happy trails.